All right, Leo, you're pulling some difficult ones this week. From Lay Vampire, you pulled Burnt by the Sun, Ambition, Extension, and Reach. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled Trickery. Now, Burnt by the Sun, for me, is the I overdid it card. The blessing here says that you will never know your potential unless you go beyond the limits you have set for yourself. You may not succeed, but you will know a great deal more about yourself than you do now. You are certain to grow through the experience. Begin with baby steps and persist, and then working with this card talks about being mindful of what is safe and wise for you to do at this time with the skills and training that you have. It is as if you are wishing to undertake a marathon without ever having run a mile. So the goal is still there for you. It's just patience and hard work are going to be the priorities here. So you may have overdone it, and maybe you are not seeing what it is that you're wanting. But what I worry about is where trickery is coming in. Now, the card at a glance says that notice here that there may be manipulation because of a fear of being rejected. There is no evil intent, only a deep desire to be loved. This card may also indicate that you should practice asking for your true heart's desire rather than fearing someone else's resentment. And then, it worries me a little bit. For some of you, it may be a situation where, there may be a little bit of manipulation. But with Burnt by the Sun, I think that for some of you, you may have been tricked into a situation that was more than you could handle. Now, the inspiration says, during trying times, things may be easier if you ask for help. Don't be disappointed if assistance does not come from the place that you expect. The personal question says, why am I afraid to tell the truth? How does that fear make me manipulate others? What do I really need to say? The key ideas are dance of scarcity, coveting possessions, vulnerable heart, self-honesty, accusing others, and hidden motives. And that's kind of what stuck out for me. It's one thing to ask for help when it comes to, reaching your goals. But, again, looking at Burnt by the Sun, I don't think that this is a situation where maybe, you are manipulating others to do something for you. I think that you were manipulated into doing something that, may have been too much for you. All right, Leo. Here's the energy coming through. All right, I gotta take some wine here. The Tower. We'll have to see what is happening here, but this is some big changes happening. Some abrupt changes. The other thing with the Tower is that whatever is crashing down around you was false to begin with. It's time to get rid of the fake shit because it wasn't worthy of you. What I worry about here is if you're going to be left standing in the rubble. But, man, shocking changes, abrupt changes. And in the past, the Ace of Wands, that's not good. Looking at that as the past coming through and seeing this new opportunity, and you have this passion, this spark of creativity, to me, it's a false start looking at the Tower. Because whatever it was, it wasn't good. That there's a reason why they call the Tower the house of God. It's like God coming down going, nope, shit's false, gotta go. And then when you're looking at the Ace of Wands coming through, it's like, no, it was false. And the present, Three of Wands. So, it could go both ways here, but I do think that this was a false start, and a lot of you are not seeing things develop. There's a delay here with the Three of Wands having the Tower as a signifier. You could have an opportunity coming through, but that is past energy. Explaining why the Tower is there is not good. And when you're looking at the Three of Wands, it's one of those cards where you should already know what to expect, because these are the things that you have worked toward. You've set all this stuff into motion. And it's one of those things here where it's like, are you really seeing the things that you're expecting? And for me, it's not seeing it. It's delays, maybe not taking the right action. Whew. All right. Oh, shit. Are you fucking kidding me? Scorpio, huh? Death as a future conditions. This is saying, man, death in the Tower. This is the ending of an era, right? This is a huge ending that is happening. I mean, big ending, big changes. Oh, man. Death is one of those cards where you don't have a choice. This is coming to an end. You're either going to cling on to this, but it's still ending. That's it. You know, you have to go through this, but the important part here is the rebirth. This is you being the phoenix rising from the ashes here, especially with the energy of the Tower sitting there. But whatever is ending in a big way, a big way. I think you started working towards something that was just not, it wasn't there. It was false. It was a false start. And it's over with. I mean, yeah, it's definitely over with. Whew. Oh my God, Leo, what is happening with you guys? The Ten of Swords is your best path to follow is saying that, yeah, you may have hit rock bottom, but now it's time to get up. It's time to get up now. This is the ending of pain. You cannot hang on to what is happening here. And again, you know, with death, you don't have a choice. You can try to cling on to old ways, but it's over and it's done with. The changes need to happen because what's going on here is not, it wasn't right. It wasn't true. You know, you put some effort into it and it just come crashing down all around you. Oh my goodness. But the Ten of Swords, again, you know, you may be flat on your face, but damn it, it's time to get up now. You can't stay in that kind of a painful ending. And this whole situation looks like really, really difficult. But there's no point in staying with this. You have to roll with the changes that are happening for you. In your environment, the Page of Wands, you know, I worry here. I worry about, you know, what messages were coming through that you started actually putting some time and effort into. Looking at the Three of Wands because you acted on it. You acted on what was being said here. And it wasn't true. It wasn't true because you wouldn't have all this going on if it was. Normally, the Page of Wands for me is one of those cards where, yeah, you're receiving messages, but it's exciting news. It's a new path, doing something with excitement. And you can see it with the Ace of Wands. It's almost like you may have been presented with a new opportunity that you actually, you know, started putting some plans in for, and it just wasn't there. What was being offered was not true. It wasn't there. Man, oh man, Leo. Your hopes and your fears. Stop that. Don't do that. Don't go into fantasy mode. Quit fantasizing about shit. And again, you cannot hang on to the things that need to come crashing down. These things have to go away now. It's over and it's done with. It wasn't worthy of you in the first place. You know, it may feel shitty because you actually, you know, put in some planning here. But it's not good. It's not good. It's got to go. It's got to be over with. It's got to be done. Looking at the Seven of Cups there is no good. No good. And for some of you, this is just you hoping to, you know, be able to make the right choices here. Because again, priorities. Priorities are what is going to be key here. Man, I do think that some of you were manipulated into doing something that was just a bunch of bullshit, honestly. And it just fell flat through. And I think with the Seven of Cups, you know, you need to get out of fantasy mode here. What's done is done. You know, you need to start making the right decisions for yourself now. You know, and if you have a situation where you have a whole bunch of options in front of you, you know, you have to be careful on what you choose. Again, priorities. Priorities is what is going to be important. Man, oh man. And then the outcome, the Nine of Wands. And, you know, that to me is, it's good and it's bad looking at it. The Nine of Wands, you know, being the wounded warrior, this is somebody who's been put through it, but damn it, they're persistent. You know, they're still carrying this strength with them. There's still some fight left, right? But the other thing, too, is you don't want to be in a position here where you're so on guard that you're paranoid about what's going to happen next. But it makes sense. With the Tower being the signifier, that you would be like, oh shit, what's going to happen now? But I do think that some of you were manipulated into acting towards something that wasn't really there to begin with. Honestly. Because again, the Tower would not be the signifier. Man, oh man. It's over with, though. It's over with. It's over and it's done with. Looking at the Ten of Swords and then Death, it's done. It's done. I would be careful about being persistent as far as working towards something that was not true to begin with. Because, you know, it looks great on the surface, but, you know, really it wasn't. Because, again, the Tower and the Ten of Swords, it's like, what the hell? Because it looks great. It really does. But that may be the trickery that's happening. Are you? Oh, man, Leo, I'm sorry. This one is difficult. I do think that you kind of overdid it, and you overdid it towards something that just did not come through for you. But I also think that you were manipulated into doing it as well. And again, you know, general reading, it's not going to apply to everybody, and thank God for that. But for those of you who I am connecting with, you know, this I don't feel in any way is your fault. These things are needing to end and to be over with because it wasn't worthy of you. Just be careful about, you know, this feeling of like, oh shit, what's going to happen now? You don't want to be stuck with that kind of energy either. And get out of fantasy mode. Stop doing that. Purpose, and you're not the only one to pull that. Communication and honor yourself. Yes, you need to honor yourself in communication, needing to speak truthfully, right? But what was the purpose of this? What was the purpose of going through this, you know? And there may have been a reason why this needed to happen. You know, again, especially if you're looking at stuff that wasn't worthy of you in the first place. But you have to make sure that this is an experience that you're going to learn from, you know. And, you know, on the other hand, too, for a lot of you, it just may be that you're getting rid of some false stuff, right? You may have made the choice here to have that Tower come crashing down. But my problem is looking at the Ten of Swords where it's at and then having Death. But then again, you know, that light is shining on you, right? This is time for you to go through a rebirth and rise from those ashes and get the hell out of that kind of a situation. But communication is going to be key when it comes to making sure that you don't get involved in any more situations where you are manipulated into doing something that was false to begin with, right? And honor yourself. So important. This could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner you seek, so that's good. So for those of you who are single and dealing with something external here, I think as far as relationships go, you look okay. But, you know, you're going to want to get rid of all this nonsense here before you move forward in a relationship, absolutely, especially with that Nine of Wands being there, because you don't want to block out new opportunities either. You know, this may just be one of those situations where you were manipulated into doing something, but, you know, if you're looking for a meaningful relationship, that should be a comforting thing that you've already met the person that you are looking for. Oh, you're not the only ones to pull that. And then getting to know each other. Okay. Codependency. Addictions are affecting your romantic life, and then getting to know each other. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. Here's the thing. If you're dealing with addictions within a relationship, the only way that you're going to know that is when you start getting to know your partner. That way you can start helping them heal this, or they can start helping you heal whatever codependency is going on within the relationship. Leo, I am so sorry, but, you know, again, this isn't going to resonate with everybody. It's just that, you know, there may be some of you out there that need to hear this. Be careful about being manipulated into doing something that looks good on the surface, but truly is not worthy of you, because it's going to come down all around you. But, you know, it's at least you didn't spend a whole bunch of time with it. Looking at the 3 and looking at the Ace and the Page, this wasn't something that you spent a lot of time with. I think it's going to come down just as soon as you start working toward it. You know, and you'll get to this point here where you realize that it's over. It's over with, right? And you'll stop. But there may be a problem with the 7 of Cups on what do you do now? You know, what are my options? What is it that I can do to make the situation better? Just be careful here. And then with the Nine of Wands, you don't want to be, so on guard that you're paranoid either. But, Leo, it's one of those things that, sometimes we go through that, right? We get tricked into doing something and then we pay the price for it. But ultimately, again, you're going to learn a lot more about yourself and the way that you handle situations like that, especially with death being there. Just, be careful with that Nine of Wands. And as far as relationships, you have to be careful with that codependency as well, to make sure that you are communicating with your partner. All right, Leo, I'm sorry, but I think it's a little bit too convenient that you have Burnt by the Sun and then Trickery, and then you have the Tower as a signifier. I do think that for some of you, you may have been manipulated into putting in some effort towards something that wasn't, good to begin with. And the reason why I think that is because I'm looking at an immature energy here. Now, this could definitely represent you doing something that maybe you shouldn't have, but I think that you were manipulated into this. Because to me, this is exciting news. It looks good on the surface, but when you have the Tower, and then you have Death, and then you have the Ten of Swords, yeah, it wasn't. And I do think that you're going to go through a lot of changes, but you're going to be able to rise up out of this. And definitely with the Nine of Wands being your outcome here, especially connected to death. But you have to be careful about hanging on to painful endings too. You're going to have to release this. You may have fallen flat on your face, but damn it, it's time to get up now. Now, when it comes to the Seven of Cups, I would just be careful here when it comes to trying to, understand what your options are. What options do I have left in this situation is kind of what it feels like. But you don't want to be in fantasy mode about things either. And then you don't want to come out of this so paranoid that you think that, what's the next thing that's going to happen to me? Ultimately, when I see the Tower, especially with death, this is a good thing. It needs to go away because these are not the things that you want to stay with. Because ultimately, again, it was false. It's false all the way around. It's fake. It needs to be over with. And what I feel like out of this is that you didn't really spend a lot of time with it. I think, when you start to make some initial decisions to act is when you start seeing things fall through. But, it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be really hard for you to deal with, which is understandable. But these changes are going to have to happen for you to get out of, having to deal with stuff that wasn't worthy of you in the first place. Because the Tower, right? I mean, the shit's got to come crashing down. It's got to go away for things to get better. Now, when you're looking at the soul trees, right, communication, I do think that goes to with what, the couples pull. Communication is going to be important. But then, when you're looking at looking at purpose and honoring yourself, my first thing was, what was the purpose of going through this? This is something that you're probably going to learn a major lesson from. But then honor yourself. You have to be true to yourself. And you need to be careful about being manipulated into doing things that just, are not smart for you to be doing. Why are you putting time and effort into something that, may not be true? Right? And you don't want to be overdoing it in those situations either. Now, relationships, this could be the one. For the singles, this is good to see. You just need to be careful about being paranoid and being so on guard, but still it's understandable, especially with the Tower being there. Now, codependency and getting to know each other, the only way that you're going to be able to heal whatever addictions are going on within the relationship is if you open up that communication and you get to know the partner. Now, this could be your partner needing to get to know you to help you heal whatever addictions are going on, or vice versa. Now, this doesn't have to be drugs and alcohol. It could be other addictions and codependencies as well. But either way, the only way you're going to get past that is by opening up that communication. Leo, this is one of the ones where, I hope that I get the messages that say that, no, you're wrong. That's not happening for me, because that would make me feel so much better, especially looking at this. But then again, these readings happen for a reason. Somebody may need to hear this. There may be some shocking changes that are happening. You may be going through that death cycle where you are going to rise up out of the ashes of this situation. But if you fell flat on your face, you gotta get up. You gotta be persistent in being able to make the right choices for yourself. You don't want to be caught up in this situation where you don't see the right options either. And then just be careful about coming out of this being too paranoid. But, remember, these things are happening for a reason. And it's so that you don't have to deal with fake shit in your life anymore.